The Samsung Galaxy S8 event literally just finished, so I thought I'd speak about some of my opinions on this phone and how it compares to previous phones and things like that. But I thought I'm going to look past all the hype and I'm going to say basically what I think about this phone and what I think about its new features and like that. So let's get started. So first things first, this phone is again basically what we saw in the leaks. So it's got a display called the Infinity Display, which pretty much stretches across the entire front of the phone, minus the top and bottom bezels. The screen spills over the sides. It's now got on-screen buttons, and it's got a fingerprint sensor on the back. And that's pretty much the phone. So correct me if I'm wrong, but the side spilling is pretty similar to the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge, which they just didn't mention at all during the keynote. They're making it seem as if it's a new thing. And yes, it is still impressive. I still love the Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge screen, but it's nothing new, so we can look past that. But there is still stuff to be impressed about. So the bottom and top bezels are really, really tiny now, and the phone, I mean, I haven't seen it in person obviously, but this phone looks stunning. I think they took a much better approach of kind of having a bezel-less phone to do it in that way rather than do it in the way that the My Mix did it, because I just think it looks better design-wise, to be honest, anyway. And yeah, I do prefer physical buttons, but they handle this button in a really, really good way. So they handled it in a similar way to how the iPhone 7 handles the home button. But instead of having it as a kind of like a physical button as it is on the iPhone 7, they have it actually built into the display. So you push down on the display where basically it shows the home button, and it still gives that kind of sensation that you'd get with the iPhone 7. So that's really, really nice. Anything to get extra screen real estate is great. I'm also super happy that they finally decided to ditch micro USB and go to USB-C. As I said in a previous video, USB-C is the future. So I'm surprised that they still had micro USB all the way up until the S7, but they finally ditched it, which is great. And something else that's great is something else they didn't ditch is the headphone jack. So I use the headphone jack a lot. I mean, I've got Bluetooth earphones, and when I can plug them in, I still plug them in because they just sound that much better. So having the 3.5mm headphone jack in the phone is still great. And they also added something that hasn't been seen on previous phones, and that's HDR. So this phone is HDR ready, which basically means it's going to have a higher dynamic range, which means that there's going to be more contrast in it, and colors are just going to look better. Everything's pretty much going to look better. I mean, I haven't seen HDR for myself on a HDR display before, because I haven't got any HDR displays, but I'm sure that it's going to look a lot better. So I'm really looking forward to see that. And the camera's also got improvements, as they do every year, so there's nothing really to talk about here. Samsung's known for great cameras. It didn't really change that much since the S7, so again, there's nothing really too much to talk about, but that's all fine because Samsung have great cameras anyway. And the iris scanner makes a return in the S8. It was previously seen in the Note 7, which obviously stuff happened, and yeah. But with this, I really have to try it out for myself to really know if it's going to be any good. I mean, from what I've heard, it's pretty bad, and it's easier just to do with a fingerprint sensor, which I imagine it would be. I mean, it must be really inconvenient to have to like lift your phone up to your face every time you want to use the iris scanner. So I think I'm just going to be using the fingerprint sensor, even if this is baked in. I mean, they do let you actually use the fingerprint sensor and the iris scanner simultaneously. So you can have the iris scanner enabled and also the fingerprint sensor, which is great. So I guess the choice is there, so you can't really complain about it. They also talked a lot about face detection, but this has been in Android phones pretty much forever, from what I remember. I remember like really old phones had face detection too, so I don't really see this as a new feature. And there's also the case of different lighting in different environments and like that, how it's going to affect the iris scanner. So again, we'll just have to try it out and see what it's like. And then there's Bixby, which actually has its own button on the phone, which whether you like that or not is really up to you. Yeah, this is pretty much their personal assistant. This thing's going to be going up against Google Now, I guess, in a way. But yeah, it does have a lot of the same features as Google Now, so it's context aware, you can do reminders on it, it has a kind of Google Now interface on it. With Bixby, you can actually point the phone at a product, so for example, I could point it at this camera here, by the way, not a S8, and it'll be able to detect what the camera is, and it will be able to show you places that you can buy it, like on Amazon and like that. And you can also do stuff like if you're in the Maps app, you can have Bixby take a screenshot of it and then send it directly to someone, which is actually pretty useful because it saves a few steps and it saves you having to delete screenshots after you take them and send them to people and stuff like that. So I'm all up for that. But really, how well this works, again, is going to depend on its reliability and stuff like that, especially with the whole taking a picture or pointing your phone at a product and seeing it in places and stuff like that. It really depends on how reliable it's going to be as to whether I'd use it or not. And to end the video off, this isn't directly related to the S8, but it's kind of an accessory to it. So there's the Samsung DeX, and this is kind of like Microsoft's Continuum, where pretty much you can use your phone to kind of make a desktop experience. So there's this little dock that you put your phone in, it's connected to a monitor, and basically uses your phone as a computer and provides a desktop experience. So you can do all the stuff like multitasking, drag and drop, highlighting to select things, and all the usual stuff that you do, but you're going to have your phone apps. So not all phone apps are going to be able to work on this, obviously. It's up to the developers to make it work, but stuff like Word and obviously all the Google apps are going to be working straight away with this. So yeah, you can go ahead and use it straight away pretty much. And yeah, I do think this is a pretty nice idea. It will be good as a secondary computer if you don't want to shell out money on a new computer. You can just use your phone. But yeah, I mean, nobody's going to go out and buy the S8 just so they can use this or anything like that. But it's a pretty good idea, and yeah. But those are my thoughts anyway. What are your thoughts? Be sure to leave them down in the comments down below. The phone's going to be available on April the 21st in the US and April the 28th in the UK, as well as other places around the world. They're not saying specifically which places yet. So be sure to tell me if you want to buy this phone yourself down in the comments down below again. Be sure to like this video if you liked it, and yeah, I hope you all have a great day. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.